Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Get in Tune. I'm Michael Gracia, and I've got a really fun show planned tonight. I got a returning guest. He hasn't been on in a while. I'm really looking forward to chatting with him. I had a great talk with him the last time he was on. Last time he was on, he was promoting his book Sneak. I don't know why I'm looking off camera. I should be looking into the camera here. um, he's promoting Sneak, which he had up on Kickstarter. I have a copy of it. It's a fantastic book. And now he's got a new book called Violent Dogs, a Love Story. And it's issue 0. It's up on Kickstarter. And I'm going to bring on Jerre Winsborrow. Hello.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
I'm looking forward to checking this book out, too. Just got to say.
Thank you.
And I know I told you off the air, and I want to say, just so everyone watching knows, Sneak, art aside, which is beautiful art, was a fantastic story. Very
Thank
well
you.
written, great story. I know you said you consider yourself a storyteller, and I think all us comic artists kind of do. We just usually tell the story with the picture over words, but um, it was just a fantastic story. Now I'm gonna let the audience know up front just what I told you. I wanted to reread it today, so it was fresh in my head and talk to you about stuff. However, due to my scheduling, I couldn't pull out a copy in time to read before we went on air. But what I do remember was the story was so good, you know, and and to me, it's story first, and then your art that accompanies it was great too. I mean,
Oh, thank
it's a
you.
great book all around.
Thank you.
So, so how have you been since last we've chatted?
Busy. Besides, my 9 to 5, trying to get these projects done.
Yeah, and you have this new book, Violent Dogs, a love story. We'll talk about that in a few, but you have a special way of creating books. A lot of artists work from photo reference, but you really work from photo reference, right?
Yeah,
Um, can you talk a little bit about your process so everyone can understand how you work?
sure. Well, I had several projects before Seek,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to draw the characters out of my head,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much. Of course, using reference
Yep.
for various poses and things. But I found that my characters resembled every other character that I've read and know about.
Mm-hmm.
My imagination was limited to creating, because of what I've been influenced by all these
Yeah.
years. And I came across a book called Jinx by Brian Michael Bendis, and in the back he wrote about he used photo reference because he wanted his characters to have a unique look that you couldn't mistake in it for any other character. Not just appearance, but their body language and how they hold the
Yeah.
coffee mug, and how they stand and hold a gun. And I found that fascinating, and I you know so I started using models just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and I just found that I really liked the end result, and so it was like a process, but little by little, it started out with just the main character would be, uh, I would use a model, and then little by little, I just started using supporting characters and background characters, family and friends, and whoever wanted to join.
Yeah. No, that's great, and you really make them look like the actors too.
Thank
That's fantastic. I want to say hi to Joe Ryan in the audience and Mike Wilkie. Hey, both of you, thanks for tuning in. Um, as Joe is a cartoonist himself, so is Mike. Mike has a great little humor strip A couple of them actually. I hope his stuff's doing good, and Joe's working hard on a book that he's got, and I'm sure we'll have him on when his book comes out. So just want to say hi to you guys. Thanks for watching. So with it was called Seek, right? I believe the first comic. Okay, I want to talk about Seek for a few minutes, just for the audience, so they don't know. For some reason I always want to call it Sneak, but I know it's Seek. All right, so I got to stop myself. But can you give the audience an idea of what Seek was about, and is it still available for people to get places?
Well, it's available actually on Violent Dog's Kickstarter as an add-on.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Seek, in a nutshell, is about a bounty hunter. She and her team, she has about seven teammates that hunt down supervillains that have skipped bail or are wanted by the authorities. And her team and herself having no superpowers and really no super special weapons to take down, these various superpowered beings. Seek's motto is just because they can turn on fire or shoot laser beams from their butt doesn't make them bulletproof. So that's what Seek is about in a nutshell. And there's a lot of subplots going on. An old enemy returns. A lot of conflict between her and her teams.
And I will say it is a very fun read. So when you guys back Violent Dogs, which we'll talk about in a moment, make sure you add on this book. Do you have plans on putting it anywhere else, like an Indie Planet? You will. Okay, you'll go. And you said you had other. You told me off the air you have other books on there. How many books do you have up on Indie Planet?
I have my original project, which was called Imasti 8.
Okay.
Imasti is a Greek word for we are. It was We Are 8. And it was about the second coming of Christ and the end of the world and these group of people that are trying to prevent all of this. I had a lot of, it was years ago, and I did 2 issues of that. I had a lot of problems with the story, and I just couldn't wrap it around my, head. So I stopped. And also, I remember now too. I attended a lot of conventions, trying to promote that book, and it wasn't well received. My editors said that a lot. They think the material was just like too heavy, talking about the second coming of Christ and the end of the world, and so I was advised to maybe go a little more commercial.
Okay. When you, I'm sorry to interrupt, but when you say your editor told you, were you working with a company at the time?
No.
So you hired an editor to look at the stuff, and they were okay.
Well,
so
they work with me to this day. My 2 editors. And it wasn't well received. People like the art, and I think they just bought it for the art. But when I would do my elevator pitch for it, people weren't interested. Yeah. So I scrubbed that project, and it took me. It was like a death. I really took it hard, and I came back with Natalia Hyde. That is my love letter to the old Universal horror movies, and
I love those.
Yeah, and it's about the daughter of Mr. Hyde.
Okay.
And it involves a lot of the descendants of the legendary monsters. Dracula, Wolfman.
Yeah.
Van Helsing.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I just went on the website. So, and you had photorealistic covers here.
That's when I started using models. Yeah.
and I'm looking
With
at
the
the
tiny
other two. So the other two, the Amasti 8. This wasn't photo. This was your comic style before going into moving in with this other stuff, right?
Though those characters are based on real people, I did use reference.
You didn't use reference. You're saying for it.
No, but they're based on people
Okay.
that I know.
Because I gotta say, I'm loving the style. You have little samples of stuff. Um, like you have little interior pages. I want to show this to people. I'm gonna share the screen real quick.
Sure.
I gotta say, I love your comics. I've never seen this style of yours before. Um, let's share screen here. And this is what I need to share right here. So these are your three, and let me give it the full screen for a moment so we can see it a little clearer. So these are your first three books, right? And what's nice is you give a little sample interior pages. Now, this is the work you were doing before you actually started using the photo references.
Yes.
And I got to say, I think this is a beautiful splash page here.
Thank you.
I love black and white. I've mentioned this before. I am colorblind, but it's more of a shade blindness. But I love looking at line work more than I enjoy looking at color art.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I look at this. This is great. This is great. I see this like with something like an Image Comics or an Alterna type of company. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And then this one, I don't know. Did it have? It just had one
Yeah.
photo, which is the leg. Okay, but this is when you started using photo reference, so you can see
my
the
first
detail.
Model, my first model, Angela.
Okay, I like it. I like the font for it. I mean, this is a nice book. And we're going back 2012, so it's been a while since you've published anything. So, I mean, you recently. So Joe Ryan says that sounds up as I love to read Universal Monster stories. Well, Joe, go on indieplanet.com. Go to if you want the digital copy, you can go to that, or go to the print on demand. They'll take about a month to get to you, because they print as as the orders come in. I actually order a lot from Indie Planet. I will say that, guys.
So
I do a lot of digital books, mostly just cost effectiveness. But there's some really great books out there.
Yeah.
Indie Planet is one of my favorite go-to sites to look for comics. Now, I will say this. I'd rather go to a comic shop. I'd rather give my money to the comic shop. I'd rather get a floppy and keep it in my hands.
Me too.
I would rather have that in my hand. But two things. One, I don't have the room for tons of books anymore. Two, I'm tired of a lot of the mainstream books. There's nothing that has kept my interest. So even when I go to the comic shop, I look for indie books. Now I'll show you guys something really quick. I mean, well, I wasn't going to do this now, but I went to my local comic shop here in Yonkers, the Spider's Web, located at 887A Yonkers Avenue, across from the casino. And I was going to buy a few things. I was going in really looking for a trade. But then I went through like this, almost like, it wasn't really a dollar box, but it was like prices marked as they are. And they were old books, stuff from the 90s, even a couple of things from like the 80s in there. But they were all like indie companies. So there was like a dollar here, $2.99 here, $1.99 here. And I found these books, some I've never even heard of, right? So I'm excited to check them. I haven't had a chance to sit down and check them out, but this is what I got. I paid about, I guess, 20 when you do the math of it all. This one's called, can't even read the title late in here. Beasties. Don't know anything about it. I just said I'll give it a shot. All right. It's by Axis Comics, which I've never heard of. Now, this is from Continuity Comics. Continuity Comics. Sorry, I keep saying that wrong. That's the Neil Adams company. So I got this one, Armor, the Silver Streak.
Oh, I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, it looked interesting. And then I remember, just because when I was a kid, there was a cartoon or the live action show called Captain Power. I don't know if you remember that.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, I'll check out a Captain Power comic. This one is called Jason Critter Toy Boy. I don't know. It's weird. Then this was from Wonder Comics, Hero Alliance. Know nothing about it. And here's a Captain Harlock, if you guys know Captain Harlock. You guys, this was a DC book I never read called Spelljammer. But it had in the corner TSR, which put out the original D&D stuff. I think that was the original company. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. Then I got this Valiant Presents The Visitor versus the Valiant Universe. Thought that'd be fun. This one's called Aztec Ace from Eclipse Comics. And then this is the one that really drew me in, because the cover was just really strange looking to me. And it's called The Contractors. It's from Eclipse Comics. It's a #1. And they're all these weird, like, sci-fi alien, animal heroes.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't read it, but I want to show you guys the interior. The artwork is gorgeous. Gorgeous. I have not seen artwork like this in a long time. Let me just... Like, here's just like that page of the ship leaving the explosion,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I was like, that, it's just beautiful rendering and great shading in here. I mean, it's very, very cartoony, like it would be, animation, comic meets animation, but this is great. So I look forward to, like, sitting down and just starting reading, like once a day type of stuff. But this is what I go for. And that's why I go to Indie Planet, is because I want to see things, unfortunately, that aren't Superman. I love, I'm a big DC guy. Dr. Fate, Superman, Green Lantern, Nightwing. Those are like my go-to books when I would read DC. But I'm just, they're not keeping my interest anymore,
Yeah, I basically I chase artists or a writer. So if an artist I like happens to be on a book, I'll buy it for a little while, and then once they leave, and it usually only lasts 6 issues or so, and then I stop.
Yeah, that's what happens. And we got Jim. I'm sorry, I don't know. Is it Wukovitz? Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Good to see Jerry with a new project. Love Starsky and Hutch pick in the back. Keep up the great work. So yeah, which we're gonna get to in now, but yeah, you guys check out Indie Planet. I don't get any money from them, so I'm promoting things I like. If they want to give me money for the promotion, I'm happy to take it, guys. Give me a sponsorship. I will totally be all over Indie Planet every day. And you know what?
They have a lot of books.
Yeah, and they have a lot of free stuff that's good too. People just are giving stuff away. I once spent, what was it? I got something like 40 comics, right? 30, I think 5 or 36 of them were free books one day. I just said, what's for free? I just looked at, and I'm like, this looks interesting. And I just downloaded everything that was free. And then I spent whatever on the actual books I wanted to pay for. So you could really get some good stuff. But anyway, let's move off because we can talk about Indie Planet all day. At least I could.
Yeah, same here.
I'd love to show you guys stuff I download, but I don't want people looking at things without paying for the books, even if they are free on some. So anyway, Violent Dogs. A love story. It doesn't sound like a love story for a title, so let me share the screen. Let me get up the what do we call it here? The Kickstarter. And is that nope, this is the Kickstarter page. Okay. Share. All right. So here we go. Unfortunately, I can't play the intro due to the way the sound plays on here. When I have the headsets on and stuff. It's a Mac thing. But you guys, I'm going to post a link in the comments right now. I'm just copying it. And I'm going to come here. And I'd like everyone to go and back this project.
Thank you.
All right. It's on all the comment on the comments and everything I stream to right now, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch right now. So let's take a look at this. Violent Dogs, a love story. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the story?
Well, first of all, it's called the love story because throughout the whole book, it's going to be a 6-issue limited series, 23 pages, full color.
Okay.
So it's called has the subtitle Love Story because through all the violence, betrayal, and dirty dealings, set up, guns, knives, and lots of bad people, it starts from the simple fact that someone in the story loves another person so much he's willing to go through all of that stuff to keep her heart.
Yeah.
So that's the inciting momentum reason for the story. And the main character, Alex, is basically a victim of that. She's set up because of all of that.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at the artwork right now. I do have a question for you, and I want to see before I ask it. I got to go through some of the art. And I'm just doing a quick walkthrough here. Okay. So it wasn't on any of the interiors you showed. I saw you, I think you or our mutual friend, George Medina, posted. He posed for you for some reference. Was it for this book?
No, that's for Seek. He's going to be in a couple future issues as one of Seek's team.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to because I just wanted to see how you drew him if it was on here.
It's coming up.
Oh, well, listen, I'm sure next Kickstarter, next time you come on, which we got to have you on when you don't have a Kickstarter. Just
sure.
Come on. I enjoy chatting.
Great.
So it sounds like a fun story again. Let's just take a look at some of the art, like focus on the art. Now, I want to say here, before we get to the art, I was reading this and your goal, you're talking about, because by the way, your Pyramid Graphic Novels, which is your company. And as I sit here and look and I was scrolling through this earlier, I read this and it's just telling a little bit about yourself. But what I love, and I don't know if many people can pinpoint this, I think maybe almost every artist should be able to, but I think sometimes it's difficult. But it says when I discovered Fantastic Four with George Perez and the Uncanny X-Men with Chris Claremont and John Byrne, it was then I realized I wanted to create a comic book telling my own stories with my own characters. I mean, before we get into the art, I just wanted to just comment on that. Can you, go back to like do you have vivid memories reading those books?
Yeah.
You know, and
What got
and
me into it was the art initially.
mhm,
George Perez, he was
yeah,
before John Byrne. It was the Fantastic Four. I remember the issue numbers 160 or so. Uh,
mhm,
it's I forgot the exact number, but it's when the Fantastic Four fight this golden ape, doing a riff on King Kong, and he's standing on top of the Baxter building.
yeah,
And I was blown away by George Perez's detail to the art.
yeah.
And
No,
then after that, I discovered George Perez on the Avengers,
mhm,
the issue 161, where the Ant-Man comes back and they fight Ultron, and I was
mhm,
blown away as a
yeah.
teenager.
I actually remember that issue. I didn't read Fantastic Four as much as I read Avengers when I was younger. So I remember there's like the covers kind of in my head of that issue. But I will say I always thought, especially with Perez, his work he succeeded when he was on team books. He
Hmm.
he
Yeah,
he could draw group shots like nobody's business.
like nobody's.
Yeah, I don't know art. I've always considered him like when you look at classic artists, like fine artists or famous artists, I've always kind of compared him to Rembrandt. You know, Rembrandt did these beautiful etchings of like religious scenes, and there's like one or two really like well-known ones, but just the crowds that he did,
Yeah,
and I can't get over it. And I always like this was what people were looking at. I'm like, this is, if I compared it over to comics, which I tried to do because it helped me relate things, I was like, Perez is Rembrandt in the way he creates
I mean,
creates scenes.
Perez must have the patience of a saint to
Hmm.
draw. I can barely get through 4 or 5 characters, and I start, losing my
Yeah,
patience. I mean, and the detail.
yeah. No, I know, and I tend to draw everything. If I'm drawing digitally, everything's on separate layers, so I don't mess up the drawing.
Yeah, same
Otherwise,
here.
everything's on separate papers with characters. Because I know I'll
Yes.
do a great character, I'll try to put someone on, and then I destroy it by constantly erasing, and so I just do all the people, and I'll put I'll light box it, so I know where the characters stand and everything, and
Hmm.
so that.
I've done a couple of group uh,
Mhm.
pictures of all my characters together, and I last an hour or so, and I give up.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
rough. He's amazing.
it is. I mean, he is, and I mean, and then you mentioned John Byrne, who
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
I discovered John Byrne on the Uncanny X-Men, of course.
mhm,
Uh, my first issue of that was 112, where they fight Magneto,
mhm,
and I never seen characters like this before. I was used to Superman and Batman and Spider-Man, and the X-Men had this really unique look to them.
yeah,
And Wolverine with the hair on his arms, and how and of course how Claremont wrote him. I never seen characters like that before. I was,
yeah.
and I was hooked.
Well, let's be honest. Everything that basically people do, X-Men wise, is a Claremont story in a way.
Hmm.
I mean, because I'm not, I'm sure they've done other good stuff, but Claremont's run
Oh,
on the X titles, I mean,
I tell people.
yeah,
Yeah,
you would. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I tell people, younger people who read the X-Men, I say go back to these issues.
Yeah,
They're masterpieces. I have all of those issues, on floppy, but I bought the omnibuses too,
yeah,
so I could
yeah,
just sit down and read it one shot and look through it and reference. I mean, Claremont to me was an amazing writer. He could
yeah,
he could just write a line and have it, and it would sound so cool. Like one of my favorite things Claremont used to always do, and I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but as a writer, I try to pick up things. He would always humble the character. I don't know if that's the way to describe it, but it would be like Iron Fist, right? When him and John
mhm,
Byrne were doing Iron Fist, and Iron Fist would bust through a wall or something, and the bad guys are waiting for him. and they would say Iron Fist, well, like surprised, and he would say, were you expecting the Avengers? And I thought, and he would always do lines like that, and I thought that was so cool because just by that line, I got the Avengers are so badass that people are so afraid of them that it could be the Avengers, but it's this guy in his green and yellow tights.
Yeah.
I mean, Claremont was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, his stuff. I mean, again, we're going to be focusing on your stuff, but it's things like this why I want you to come back when you're not promoting something, because we can chat in detail about these type of
Sure,
things.
I'd love to.
I'd love to go into it, pull out some comics from our collection, some key issues that was for us. So Violent Dogs, a love story. So this is some of the interior art. Now I notice you have black and white here, but this
Yeah,
one's color.
it's going to be in color.
Okay.
But just haven't gotten around to coloring yet.
Okay.
But that's what I'm working on now. The art's all completed. It's just coloring, which I'm new at.
Yeah.
I didn't want to color. I wanted to have my books in black and white because what happened was with Seek and Natalia Hyde and Imastiate were all in black and white, and it kind of worked for those stories.
Yeah.
And in Seek, I was going to go with black and white too, just because I didn't know how to color and I didn't want to have to afford a colorist.
Yeah.
But I came across someone who said, "Oh, I could color it for you," and when I saw her sample, I sent her a couple of samples of the pages. It blew me away to see my art in color. I never have before. It blew me away, and so I couldn't go back.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened is, she, because of personal reasons, she couldn't finish coloring Seek. So, she was really good. And so I tried to continue, and I never colored anything before. So, I watched hours and hours of tutorials on how to color, and I have several books. And I started continuing, but my style didn't match hers. So I had to start all over. And, to trial and error, I pulled it off. So now I'm coloring.
Hey, Jerry, from Amy.
That's my sister, Amy. Hey, Amy.
Hey, thanks for tuning in, Amy. So yeah, no, I mean that's great. It's funny because I pulled out a lot of DVDs this weekend. I went through my collection, and I'm like, and I'm not gonna lie, they're still out. I haven't put them away. Like I see, these are old school stuff. You see a lot of old Hanna-Barbera here. Moby Dick and the Mighty Mightor and Space Ghost, and I have all this stuff. But on this side is more my educational DVDs. I'm like, maybe I'll just go back for fun and watch something, right? And I remember, I don't know how many years ago it was. I mean, I bought these at a Comic-Con, and it's the digital art tutorials. Did you ever see those?
Mm-hmm.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I have beginning coloring right here.
I have.
Yeah, I have that. I mean, I got everything. Comic production from screen to print, beginning lettering. I mean, I was like, maybe this will be fun just to sit back and see and this is beginning inking, how I have changed or what I still do, how these influenced what I create. I thought maybe that would be fun to watch. I didn't watch anything. Like I said, like I told you off screen, I spent the weekend literally basically watching Gargoyles, the old Disney cartoon on Disney Plus, and just drawing. It was a fantastic weekend.
I'm jealous.
But yeah, no. So you're mentioning that, and speaking of that, have you ever seen this DVD? It's from the Tomorrow's studio. They do the books, the Modern Masters Inside the Studio with George Perez. Love that. I also pulled out the Michael Golden. I love Michael Golden stuff.
Me too. Yeah.
And then this is something they put together, which was with what's his name here? Why am I blanking on his name? Oh, this is killing me. Danny Fingeroth and Mike Manley, the How to Draw Comics.
Yeah.
From script to print.
I think
I have the book copy autographed. by by um, by Danny. And then this old thing. I know I'm sidetracking here, but I think every artist at one point had this DVD, a countdown to Wednesday.
I have.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I haven't watched that in years.
Yeah, actually, I gotta rewatch that.
Yeah, and then of course I got the New Adventures of He-Man from the early '90s, uh, which I know is most people's least favorite version, but I love this version. So anyway, let's get back to your stuff here. As I sit here and look, I'm loving it. I wanted to ask you. I know since you use photo reference, this is a real church.
Yes.
Is which church is this, if you don't mind me asking? Because I
Uh,
love the doors.
it's St. Augustine in Brooklyn.
Okay, I've never been. So, but I
And,
love the way you did the doors here. I love their doors.
and everything, I do my best with all my reference to have some kind of sentimentality linked to it. So
Mhm.
the reason I chose that church is because my parents were married in that church,
Oh, really?
you
That's
know,
nice.
1964 or whatever.
Mhm.
So, everything in my book, how you say it has kind of an Easter egg, personal or, obvious, uh, to, something to me. Like I'll have ads in the back of, on the train in the train station in Seek. If people look back at Seek, there's a lot of ads I put like there's a sneaker factory where I used to get my sneakers when I was a kid. I put old channel 11, 9, and 5 posters, you know, back.
Oh, I remember those.
Yeah, so I like to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Even the graffiti. If you read my graffiti, it's not random. It's people I know, or it'll say something like Abbott and Costello or the Bowery Boys or something.
That's awesome. You know
Yeah,
what? I gotta look back. I got the books in a pile underneath my drawing table, but that is cool. I gotta go back and look at that.
yeah. I'll add people. I add guys from Crazy Comics in there.
Mhm.
You know,
That's
so
awesome.
everything I do always has some kind of you know relation to what I know or been.
Yeah, that is awesome.
So,
And then,
Violent Dogs is about a contract killer from St. Louis who comes to New York City to do a
mhm.
job when she's set up on a bogus hit on a mob boss.
Okay.
Um, that goes down bad, which sets in motion a shocking series of events um, as Alex, the contract killer, cuts a bloody path through New York to get to those who are responsible for setting her up.
Sounds
So,
interesting. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's it in a nutshell.
No, it sounds like another fun, interesting book. I just want to say hi to Jonathan. He's saying hi to
John,
us here. Good to see you, and thanks for tuning in. And he also says Jerry Winsborrow's killing it. Book is fire, and I'm sure it is. I mean, like I said, Seek was. I keep calling it Sneak. Seek was. So yeah, this book I could just look at it and tell. I mean,
and besides being an homage to the film noir and even
mhm,
some modern day influences like The Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis, one of my favorite movies.
yeah.
A little John Wick, The Professional, one of my favorite movies. La
Hmm.
Femme Nikita. The story, believe it or not, is inspired by an old 1968 song called "The Snake" by Al Wilson.
Okay.
And so my main character, though she's female, I named her Alex.
Hmm.
Tribute to the songwriter and the singer. It's like one of my favorite songs when I was a teenager. And what really got me about this song was, of course, like all songs, it has a story to it, but
Yeah.
it has a surprise ending that you don't see coming. And when I was a kid, it blew me away. I never heard a song like this before, and I've always loved it. And I don't know how it came about, but I just love that song so much. I couldn't tell you what inspired me to write the story based on that song, but I did, and of course, I added the film noir influences, and the crime thriller influences, and I came up with Violent Dogs.
No, that's great. And what's the name of the song again?
It's called The Snake by Al Wilson.
Al Wilson. I'm gonna have to check it out. I don't know if I know that one.
Yeah, you probably, it's kind of obscure. Years ago, my wife, for my birthday, before digital downloads, she was great. She hunted around the village trying to find a 45 for me, and she gave it to me for my birthday, a long time ago. It's one of my prized possessions,
That's awesome.
Yeah. I don't want to give away the ending to the song. Of course, everybody can go listen to it if they like, but it kind of gives away the ending to my story, so I don't want to say.
I won't say. I'll just listen to it away from everyone. But it's funny you say that, because music really does inspire people. I actually, years ago, we're going back to the '90s when I was doing my Plunger Pup book. All right, I did a couple of issues, and then even though I did a few issues that I published, I wrote this long story arc. It was supposed to be originally 20 issues, right? And I didn't know how to end the story. And then Queen's We Will Rock You, not We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions came on. They always play them together, so at least,
yeah.
But as I'm listening to it, and I'm hearing, I've paid my dues time after that whole thing. I won't sing it because I won't do justice to it. But I'm like, this was Plunger Puff's story. This really was his story, how he went through this process, and, how he got knocked down and how he got back up again. And I'm like, and within in an hour, maybe less, I wrote the ending of the comic. The only problem is I really wanted to use the lyrics from the song. And I'm like, I know I can't. I can only use a certain amount here and there. But I'm like, I can't do that. So I'll tell you, I've never published the rest of the story. He's somebody I'm working on and off, and I'm going to turn it into, instead of a multi 20 comic story arc, I'm going to turn it into like maybe 100 pages or less to tell the first story, and see what I do. But that I'm like combining everything. But that song, every time I hear it on the radio, all I want to do is work on Plunger Pup. If it's in a movie, whatever, every time I hear that, I'm like, Plunger Pup. I don't even relate it to anything else anymore except my character.
Yeah, same here. I must have, writing the story, I just played it on a loop, over and over. And the song is very simple, but, I was really trying to delve into what I could get out of it. And so the essence of the song is basically the essence of the story. And of course, there's a lot more that goes with it by adding the film noir elements. A lot of people don't know what film noir is. People think film noir is like just a crime story, but it isn't. Like say Angels with Dirty Faces, James Cagney, that's more like a crime story. Whereas film noir, with those stories, there's a good guy and there's a bad guy, and the bad guy usually loses. With film noir, which I was really attracted to, I found fascinating, is that usually there's no good guys. Everybody loses. Sometimes the bad guy wins, and but mostly everybody in the end either gets killed or goes to jail. And when I discovered this as a child, I was like, wow, this is something. You become kind of accustomed knowing that the bad guy's going to die, the bad guy's going to lose, and seeing this, I was amazed that they did this kind of stuff back then.
It's a form of storytelling that I enjoy myself as well. I don't watch it or read it as much as I probably would like. To be honest, I don't read as much as I'd like to. Life gets in the way, and it's easier to watch TV than to read a comic these days. or just a book in general. I have a crap ton of books in my studio. I have 2 bookshelves full plus
Same
stuff
here.
hidden in places. And I've read most of them. I'm not gonna lie. There's books I buy, like I want to read that, and usually a trade, and it just sits. Like behind me, I have um, Usagi Yojimbo and the Ninja Turtles, the complete collection. Never read it, but I know I love both of those characters, so much. I want to read it. I used to collect Ninja Turtles. I occasionally still collect Usagi. So I'm like, this is a book for me. You know, haven't
You
read
know,
it.
you know what I do? I stack them on my nightstand. So, and
Uh,
I say to myself, I'll read it, I'll read a chapter tonight or whatever. And it takes me months to get to it. But so I have this big stack of books that
yeah,
on my nightstand for 2 months already.
yeah. I've done that. I actually pulled out last night, and I was so tired, but I'm like, I want to read a comic, and I pulled out the what do they call it? The DC Showcase, the black and white, reprints there
Yeah.
of All-Star comics.
Oh yeah.
So it was like the old like Earth 2 stuff, and I read like literally 2 maybe 3 pages and I was out. So like I left it. I remember I left it on the bed. I didn't it was like next to me on my pillow when I woke up this morning. Jonathan says, "Love Angel with Dirty Face, masterpiece, great reference." Um, Speaking of reference, let me ask you a question. When you use this as a reference, are you taking the shots at this angle, or are like I really just love the composition of this piece a lot. I love the arch here. I love the angles of the pews, the way her hand is being pointed, her head is tilted. I think this is a beautifully composed image.
Oh, thank you.
Was the photo taken at this angle, or did you kind of like rotate? How do you work when you
How
do
I
this?
work is after of course I complete the story, I thumbnail everything.
Mhm.
Sometimes in details, sometimes not, which always bites me in the ass because then when I go back to it, I go, "What the hell is this?"
Mhm.
But usually, I work from my thumbnails, so and I put lots of notes. So I'll have the model act out a scene, and say, for example, with this scene, I'll tell Jessa, who's the model for Violent Dogs. Okay, she's talking to this person, and she's acting like this, and she's feeling like that, and this is the environment. And then either before or after, then I'll go and seek out uh, the location, and I do my best to match it up. Sometimes it doesn't work, and I have to freehand, but usually, I'm on point.
Okay. I mean that I'm just very curious of your process. Really, it impresses me
Oh, thank you.
because number one, I don't have the patience to work that way,
Well, I don't
and
either.
but you're doing it. That's the thing. Like for me, I'll look at photo reference for maybe a pose,
Yeah.
or like I need to draw a car. What does this type of car look like? But outside of that, I'm basically doing everything from scratch.
I
And I
wish I really would like deep down, believe it or not, I would like to have a simpler style.
mhm.
I forgot this artist's name. He was drawing Black Widow recently. Chris, I don't know how to say his last name. Chris Semi or something. Um,
Okay.
his style is really, dynamic, but it's really simple. And I, believe it or not, I'm attracted to that. But at the same time, I love George Perez, John Byrne, David Finch. I mean, David Finch is a monster.
Yeah.
And I just can't help myself, but I gravitate towards the detail, which sometimes, I'm a little ridiculous because, I work digitally, and
Mhm.
I tend to obsess on these little details that I know nobody will either notice or care. Buttons on the jacket or whatever. And
Mhm.
I'm getting better because I know I don't have all this time, but sometimes because I could zoom in and I could draw all
Yeah.
the details on a button, that nobody cares about, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's but it's great. Like, I think as an artist, we are attracted to the things we don't do.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
that's interesting.
like I do a lot of cartoony stuff. You know that. And I could draw something like Bugs Bunny amazingly or Hanna-Barbera stuff. I mean, everything they basically everything looks like the characters, or at least in that style. I could copy my superhero style if I don't go like the Bruce Timm verse
Yeah.
stuff that
Oh,
he
see,
created.
I love that. I love that stuff.
I'm going more Silver Age Kurt Swan
Yeah, Kurt
type of,
Swan.
or Gil Kane, like those type of guys
Yeah,
who influence me. Like, and that's more how I draw superheroes. Like, I'm not drawing modern day stuff, but I'll look at somebody like Mike Allred, whose work I
yeah,
love. Allred's work, and some people are not fans of it. It's got that thick outline. It's a little stiff
yeah.
in poses,
Oh,
but I love Allred. Um, who's the other one? There's this new guy. I don't want to say he's new. I don't know how long he's been drawing for, but I only discovered him sometime in 2021. And I can't say his name properly. I think it's Junie Ba. If you go on Instagram and look him up, or you just go under, I know you guys, whoever's connected to me, look at my who I follow, and I think it's JUNI, then BA. He has this really interesting cartoony style. He just did a Black Panther that came out, and I wanted to pick it up, but it was sold out. I went on a Thursday and not a Wednesday, so I didn't get a chance to get the issue. The first book I saw him on was a Robin book, and it's really just, I don't know. I got to find out more about the artist. I don't know where he's from, but I feel like there's something of his culture in this art, and I'm not too familiar with it. And I don't want to say he's from, because I don't know what Juniba is.
yeah.
You know, is it his actual name? Is it a like an online tag that he uses? Like, I don't know. I don't even know if it's a guy. I got to be honest with you. The work is amazing. I'm just so attracted to this cartoony style that he does, and I can't do this cartoony style, and I draw cartoony all the time. You know, and so I'm just highly attracted to it.
I mean, I'm
Uh,
impressed by David Finch. I mean, he's amazing. But when I look at that artist who was doing the Black Widow, I
mhm.
was jealous. You know,
Yeah.
and I rarely get like that. But I was like, wow, I wish I could pull this off.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to look up this art now. But just quickly, speaking of David Finch, do you ever watch his YouTube videos?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh my God, just sitting watching. I forget he's talking. Just
Yeah,
watching him draw.
it's amazing.
Oh my God.
Him and Greg Capullo.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
both of them.
amazing with the details.
Yeah. And we got to get through this here. So let's get back. Joe Ryan says, as someone who uses reference for all my work, it honestly made my art better because it makes a difference, and it's true. You got to draw from something, you know.
I mean, I admire people that could just draw out of their head. There's this artist. His name is Kim Jung Lee.
Okay.
He's a savant. I mean, he draws. He can draw inside of a spaceship just out of his head. I've seen him right in front of me. He's
That's
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I bought like 3 of his books, and sometimes I don't even want to look at them because it just like hurts to look at them. It's so amazing what this guy can pull off. But he's a savant. I know.
Yeah.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's. So here's the story. Let's get to the rewards. So this is a $5 copy. You get the digital, right? Violent. Yeah. The Hitman reward. So I'm just looking, where's the start? So this one here is the top picture. You get the digital. For $12, you get the book. And for $15, this is you get the print copy, but it's a poster as well.
Yeah, it's an homage to like an old film noir poster.
Yeah. Then come here, and then this is more of a movie poster.
Yeah.
With the print copy. And by the way, they also include the digital copy as
Yes,
well.
everything. Yeah, and free shipping.
Yeah, and free shipping. That's awesome.
Well, shipping is included.
But that's only continental U.S., right?
Yeah, for now.
Okay.
I haven't figured out international yet.
Okay. Just making sure. I want people
Yeah,
to know if you're watching from Ireland or something, you're paying
I
shipping or you're
really
not getting.
want to. I really, I'm going to take, devote some time to figuring it out. And, I was just afraid of biting off more than I could chew with that. And so I never really got around to it.
Yeah. And this one here, you get all 3 posters. And what size are the posters? I forgot to ask. Are
Oh,
they
those are the actual books, the covers.
no? But what size? When they get the because it says poster covers.
Well,
Oh, they're covers for the book.
yeah, like
Okay.
that last one with the guns. That's
Yeah.
an homage to a movie poster.
Yeah. I saw that up there.
Yeah,
So,
like a typical movie poster.
oh, so I got confused. So these are not actual posters you're given.
No,
These are the covers
yeah, the
in the
covers.
homage
Yeah,
to that. Okay, I'm sorry, I got confused for a moment. Now this one here, the Punisher. Punisher homage. Okay, I see it.
and with that one, it's limited to 6. So whoever gets that tier, they'll have their picture on those Polaroids in the behind her.
Oh, cool.
They'll be one of her targets.
Nice. I like that. And then this one here for 100, you get the contract killer, but includes the main, the noir, and the poster, and exclusive to this bundle, the Jessa cover sign. So this is a real photo then of her, right? That
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
kind of manipulated and
It's
okay,
a tribute to my mom.
yeah. Okay. That's nice. Let's be honest here. You already tripled what you're looking for. You were asking for 300 and you're at 952. So I'm just gonna do a quick refresh, make sure I'm on the right page here, and see. Oh no. Sorry, I didn't get you any new backers yet.
That's
But
okay.
that will change right at the end of this show when we sign off. You guys are gonna go and you're gonna back and you're gonna get your copy and you get the add-on of Seek. Do you have the add-ons on here? Or
Yeah, it should be there.
so down at the bottom they usually are. So I just wanna.
Oh,
No, I don't see the add-ons here.
I gotta add it.
Okay. Well, besides the comic Seek, what are some of the other? Are there any other add-ons or?
Well, I'm gonna do reward tiers. Incentives. Like once we reach $1,000, I'm gonna include posters of each cover.
Okay.
And then maybe if we reach maybe 50 backers, depending what's going on, or 100 backers, there'll be more. I haven't decided too much.
Okay.
What I'm going to do.
Look, running a Kickstarter, I haven't done it yet. It is a time-consuming process. And I'll just say this to the audience: we were talking off air before we came on, and one of the things I said to you is when my book comes out, I don't know if I want to run a Kickstarter. I don't know if I want the stress, and it's not even like a fear of failing and not getting my book back. It's I don't want the stress of running the Kickstarter.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot of work because even after it's done, it doesn't end once.
Yeah,
it's completed. Now you have to box everything up and deal with printers and ship them out.
Well, that's the other thing. I hate leaving my house. I'm one of these guys where I have to go to work because I have a mortgage and I have bills to pay, and I leave to do that. But to come home and then box a bunch of books and then have to go to the post office and deal with people at the post office with I don't know how many piles of books I have to. I'm like, that just doesn't sound fun to me. Throw it up on Indie Planet. You guys want to buy it? You'll have it in 30 days.
Yeah.
You know, buy the floppy. You want the digital copy? You'll have it right away. It's you know, for me, I think that might be my my route. And what does it cost? Because I think with Indie Planet, because they're connected to Kablam, what is it? You got to buy one copy from Kablam to get it up on.
That's it.
So I buy 1 or 2 issues just for myself, or if I want to sell them at shows or whatever, I buy a few, and everything's on Indie Planet. Now Jonathan just posted, I just pledged.
Oh,
So
great.
let's refresh. Thank you for that. Nope, still hasn't. Yeah, it hasn't processed. I think you're lying. I think you need to pledge again. Jonathan, go pledge again, please. But yeah, I know it takes a few minutes to update, but yeah, I mean, I think you got another winner here.
Oh,
I think you're.
Well, it's this book gave me a lot of trouble. I wrote it years ago, and besides the story, you know, the subplots and the story structure, it really gave me a lot of trouble. But I was, you know, soldiering through. But besides, I had a hard time casting the supporting characters. And finally, I gave up and I shelved it. And for a couple of years, 3-4 years. And then I came across my model here, Jessa, on Instagram, because she made a comment on one of my posts. And, you know, I said, wow, she's amazing. She would be perfect. Right away, she would be perfect for Violent Dogs. She, you know, she reminds me of that, you know, femme fatale, you know, 1945, you know, film noir.
Well, I'm sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'll ask after.
I really I do my best to cast, you know, like a director, a movie director, whatever, the right model for the project. Because if I don't, I just don't do it. You know, I mean, all my characters, all my models aren't like, okay, that person will do. If I didn't have my model for Natalia Hyde, Angela, I wouldn't have done it. You know, Seek too. Seek, same thing. If I didn't discover Serafina, I wouldn't have, you know, I would have scrubbed Seek. In fact, I had a model for Seek before Serafina, and she bailed on me. So I scrubbed. And then, you know, by the grace of God, I discovered Serafina. And, you know, I contacted her, and she was all up for it. So the same thing with Jessa. The only problem with Jessa was that she lives in San Diego. And I was like, well, that's that, you know? So I said to her, well, listen, if you plan to come to New York, you know, let me know, and maybe, you know, we can really squeeze in a photo shoot or whatever. Yeah. And she said, that's not a problem. I'll come whenever you want. And I was, you know, at first I didn't even believe her. And then, sure enough, you know, flights were booked, and one thing led to another, and we were shooting for Violent Dogs.
Wow, that's great.
Yes, she's a total professional. She's a professional model in San Diego. She was great. You know, I mean, you know, all my models, I can't ask for more. They give me more than I ask for. You know, I'll say you're drinking a cup of coffee or whatever, and this is the situation. And I'm lucky, I'm blessed that all my models, professional or not, always gave me more than I asked for.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, you know, like friends or family, I think a lot of these people have this inner, you know, actor in them. I mean, I've had friends pose for me that, you know, never posed before, especially something like this, and you wouldn't even know it. You know, sometimes you get people that are a little stiff or intimidated or shy. Once I say, okay, this is the scene, they all pull it off. It's amazing. I've been lucky. I've really been lucky.
That's fantastic.
And Jessa is really helping me promote the book even more than myself. She's amazing. Yeah, she's amazing.
Hold on, I'm getting feedback for a second. I'm starting to hear myself on the screen here. Give me a second. Hello. I don't know. It's a little weird. But I wanted to ask you, since Jessa is such a pro, why don't we give her a shout out? Do you have access, like her name on Instagram? I could put in the comments. If you want to send me in a private message, I'll copy and paste it. Send me a
Sure,
link.
sure.
Let's promote her, because I mean, like you said, you wouldn't have been able to do this book without her. You know, you have to find the right person, or you don't do a book. So
Yeah,
let's give her a shout out. Let's give her. Drop it into the private chat, and I will copy and paste it
sure.
over. So everyone should follow. I mean, everyone who knows me knows I support everybody. You know, indies, pros, but my show is a lot about indies, and like you said, if you can't get this book done without her, we need to be promoting the person who really helped you. I want to help everybody if I can. So, did you?
Right now, you can follow her on Instagram.
Okay.
Model Jessa. One
Hold
word.
on. So at model
Jessa.
Jessa on Instagram. Going right into the comics. And before I forget, I'm gonna look her up right now and follow model Jessa. See if she. Why didn't she come up? That was weird.
It's one word.
Yeah, I don't know why she didn't pop up there. There it comes. I guess it's a new thing they're doing. So Jessa Michelle, yeah,
Yes.
San Diego.
Yes.
Yeah, she started to post all the stuff here.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. I'm following her too now. I hope help support her too.
She's professional.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna wrap up in a moment. So one last time, you guys. Violent Dogs, a love story. It's up on Kickstarter. The link is in the link is in all the comments there. You can check it out. Go to it. Please back it. Let's refresh real quick. Oh, okay. It's going to take a little bit before Jonathan's comes up, but thank you for backing. Anyone else who can back, please back Jerry's book. Like I said, Seek was such an awesome book. I'm really looking forward to this one as well. So, you guys, you know, you're gonna want it. It's great storytelling.
Thank you.
Great storytelling. Let me just share here. So, whoops. So, before we get going, is anything you want to say? Any? You want to call it any last words?
Just that, my goal is to create cool and exciting and compelling comics. I want to bring comics back to how they, the storytelling and the art back to the 70s and 80s. A lot of people don't realize those comics were masterpieces. They were, and I read over, a lot of old stuff. Even stuff from the 60s that started everything.
Yeah.
If you really want to learn excellent storytelling, to write for comics, a must-have is to, start with the old original Marvel comics, 1960 stuff, and work your way up.
Yeah.
A lot of people think the 90s is where it was, where it was at. My opinion, I don't want to insult anybody, but I think that's when comics started. That's when I started dwindling off. And I know it was a lot of gimmicks, and I know a lot of writers and artists really hung on because they love the craft, like Chris Claremont. But I remember I could go into a comic store in the 80s, or late 80s, whatever, and come out with 5-10 comics. I remember going to the comic store in the 90s and forcing myself, I might as well get this book. I mean, I really couldn't get into anything anymore. But then
I
he came back,
yeah.
and for various reasons, it fell off again. And now, like I said, I just chase my favorite artist or writer, whatever book they're doing, I'll buy, and then I'll stop.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of talking to do either off air or on another show because a lot of the stuff you just said I can rant about for so long.
Same here. Same here.
Um, and it's not that, and I'll say this right now, when I say I can rant about things, it's not that I'm anti the books, even anti the creators. I'm not anti any of the creators. I may
Yeah,
not be
same here.
happy with what they produced in that era, but I enjoy. Maybe I enjoy their books now, or enjoyed their books before. It was gimmicks, and that was the problem with books. And I'm not gonna go further than that tonight because we are wrapping up. So thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
Anytime. You're always welcome. We'll get you back on another show when you don't have a Kickstarter because I just think it'll be fun just to chat comics with
Oh,
you,
I love
So I'm gonna drop you backstage. Thanks again for coming on, and I
Thanks,
will do my wrap up and just be right with you.
Great.
All right. All right, guys. Had a lot of fun tonight. Jerry's always awesome to chat with. Remember, back this project. The links in the comments. It's called Violent Dogs: A Love Story. If you just want to go on Kickstarter and search it. Seriously, I enjoyed his first book that I read, Seek, so much that I'm super excited for this book. All right. You guys, I don't know what else to say. Just go back it, man. Follow Model Jessa on Instagram. Without her, he would never have done the book. He needed the right actress and they, or model, and there she was. Support everybody that we can. You guys, I'll be back next week with another show. I'll see you then. You guys have a great rest of your week. Bye, guys.